Traveling from Earth to the world of One Piece, with the trash pages from playing games and playing Gold Fingers, the world of One Piece now has the martial arts of a flower grower. The world is very exciting, including the lightness skill of stepping on the snow without leaving a trace, the dog-beating stick technique formed by one person, the 18 Dragon Subduing Palms with built-in special effects, and the top-notch internal skill of 9 Yin and 9 Yang. Main characters: Yeluo, Smoky, Luffy, Bree. Keywords of the novel. Man in the Pirates. Starting from joining the Navy, becoming strong without pop-ups, Man in the Pirates. Starting from joining the Navy, becoming strong. Download the full text, Man in the Pirates. Starting from joining the Navy, becoming strong. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Coming Through Time. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Where is this? Didn't I play games at home? Where is this TMD? Yeluo sat up from bed and instinctively touched her whole body. There seemed to be no signs of injury, but her body was a bit weak and seemed to be unable to exert any force. Originally, Yeluo was playing a newly found junk page game at home when he happened to discover an update to the new episode of One Piece. So when he entered the game and hung up, he couldn't wait to click on the video, and then there was no more. Before he could fully awaken, a memory surged in his heart. This is going through. Is it too hasty? Yeluo's eyes were still a little lax, and he couldn't help roast. Yes, he has traveled to the world of the Pirate King. This is the conclusion he came to after combining the memories of this body, and his current identity is an orphan. His parents passed away when he was very young, and he survived thanks to the support of everyone in the village. But a few days ago, a group of pirates arrived in the village and settled down, demanding that all villagers pay protection fees, otherwise they would kill. And the original owner, because he didn't have the money to pay protection fees, was beaten and took away all the remaining savings. He died alone in this small wooden house, just as he was possessed by the passing Yeluo. Just as he had just sorted out the details, a mechanical synthesis sound rang out. The system binding was successful, and the main task has been triggered. Please check by yourself. The following golden finger system was a little too simple to be taken by surprise. Yeluo was just a flower in front of me. Then I found several icons at the bottom left of the whole line of sight. No matter how I turned my eyes, they were always there, just like the initial login interface of the previous junk page tour. Character. Yeluo silently recited in her heart. Sure enough, a transparent interface appeared. Nickname. Yeluo Race. Human level. Level 1 life. 30/100 energy. 0 power. 3 speed. 2 skill. None experience. 0/100 combat power. 1 comprehensive evaluation. A weak, poor, and hungry human youth, calling you a War 5 scumbag is just a way of elevating you. Yeluo suddenly had an impulse to hit someone, but was despised by a system. And what does Power 1 mean? I don't know what a normal adult man is, but I'm afraid it's really a bit unbearable. After closing the character interface, open the second icon, Backpack. The small grid by grid forms the entire backpack interface, except for the first grid storing a small gift bag style item, the rest of the grids are empty. Oh, do you really have a beginner's gift package? Yeluo looked at the beginner's gift package with some surprise. Congratulations on obtaining the beginner set, 1,000 coins, and 100 diamonds for the mall voucher. After opening the gift package, a mechanical synthesis sound echoed in Yeluo's mind. Immediately after, the small gift pack in the first box of the backpack disappeared, replaced by 2 pieces of equipment and a red scroll with the words 100. The number at the bottom of the backpack changed from 0 to 1,000, which must be game currency, but I don't know what its purpose is. Novice sword. Novice suit. It's gone. The promised sword-slaying dragon, click to give it away. The promised divine suit, destroying heaven and earth. Yeluo looked at the 2 novice equipment in his backpack, feeling like he was being deceived. However, when Yeluo equipped the novice weapon, a wooden knife immediately appeared in his real hands. Nima, is it really just an ordinary wooden knife? It doesn't have any attributes yet. Yeluo knocked with the wooden knife and found that it was really an ordinary wooden knife. Forget it, let's take a look at the mall first. This is also the only thing we have expectations for. Yeluo murmured softly, then used the universal coupon and obtained 100 diamonds before opening the last icon. The interface of the mall opened, and it was indeed a visual experience of a garbage page game. There were many things sold, including demon fruits, skill books, experience books, and divine level equipment. However, the price tag made Yeluo unable to recognize the specific amount at the first time. There's no way, a series of zeros hanging there, without counting carefully, I really don't know how much it is. Let me see, what can I buy with these 100 diamonds? Yeluo directly clicked on the price list. The first thing to appear, from less to more, is food chicken legs, restore a small amount of stamina, 10 diamonds. The following foods are all skipped directly, and I don't know how to obtain diamonds yet, so I can't use them on this. Beginner skill book. Beginner forging body, 100 diamonds. It seems that this is the only beginner skill he can afford now and improve his own strength. Without hesitation, Yeluo directly bought this skill book and used it directly. There are no colorful changes in the world, just a feeling of warmth in the body, and then there are no other feelings. Open the character interface again, and the first icon in the skill tree has been illuminated. Primary Forge Level 1, 0/1000, Passive. Slightly increase your stamina, which can be strengthened through exercise. In terms of attributes, both strength and agility have been slightly enhanced, and the maximum health has also been increased to 120. As for combat power, it has increased from 1 point to 3 points, making it a player who is not as good as the 5 scumbags in a row. Even the comments have not changed. By the way, it seemed like there was a task just now, but I don't know what it was. After finishing organizing, Yeluo remembered that it seemed to have prompted him to trigger the main task and let him check it on his own. Open the task. Yeluo silently recited in her heart, and then a transparent task box popped up in front of her, with the top reading. Main task, unfinished, level up to level 5. Reward unknown, upgrade. How can I upgrade now? Forget it, let's go find something to eat first, otherwise the remaining 30 points of life will probably not be saved. Yeluo shook her head helplessly and walked out of the wooden house. What kind of immortal is this TMD at the beginning? It's really troublesome. Yeluo leaned against the door, thinking helplessly. As she walked out to the center of the village, Yeluo happened to see several pirates laughing and leaving after eating at the only restaurant in the village. Behind her was the boss's helpless and forced smile. It must be that these pirates not only failed to pay, but also affected the business in the shop. It seems that not only do we need to solve our daily life problems, but this group of pirates also need to be solved. Otherwise, I won't be able to continue staying here safely. Hiding aside, watching the pirates leaving the restaurant not far away, Yeluo began to feel a headache. By the way, speaking of the system, Yeluo suddenly remembered that there was a reward of 1,000 yuan in the newbie gift package he had opened before, and he didn't know if he could withdraw it. Yeluo tried to take out the money from her backpack, but there was actually a stack of banknotes in her hand, and it was the money Bailey from the anime. Holding the Bailey in her hand, Yeluo first went to the restaurant to solve her food and clothing problem. It didn't cost much to have a meal, and the 1,000 Bailey in her hand could be saved for about half a month. The first thing that needs to be solved is the experience problem. Finding a way to improve my level is the foundation for me to establish myself in this world. Yeluo walked out of the restaurant, walking towards the small wooden house, thinking about how to go on her own path in the future. Since it's the golden finger of the game system, let's try killing something. Yeluo, with a try mentality, turned around and bought a live fish. After returning to the small wooden house, he directly killed the live fish and really gained 1 experience. I really can gain experience. I just looked at the 100 experience points required for upgrading, and Yeluo felt a bit toothache. The good mood of just gaining experience was completely gone. Forget it, gaining experience is not bad. Although I don't have enough money to buy fish to upgrade, I can go fishing on my own. It's not bad to gain experience and fill my stomach. Yeluo sighed and comforted herself. In the following time, Yeluo mostly focused on fishing, but the idea of using the fish she caught to fill her stomach was abandoned after trying to cook the next day. Later, the conditions were finally negotiated with the restaurant owner. Every time Yeluo caught fish, he would sell them to the restaurant owner, and before each sale, he would personally kill the fish. Although the price was lowered by the owner, Yeluo didn't mind and didn't plan to continue fishing like this. In addition, he also found that as long as he exercises, the proficiency of the beginner forging skill will increase, so besides fishing, exercise is also included in his daily scope. Moreover, the small wooden house where Yeluo lived was also located in a relatively remote village near the seaside, so Yeluo did not attract the attention of the group of pirates. A few days later, Yeluo arrived at the restaurant and killed all the fish in the basket. As soon as her body warmed up, the system finally sounded an upgrade prompt. Congratulations to the host, leveling up, obtaining 5 attribute points and 1 skill point. Xiao Yi, today's portion is not enough. The restaurant owner handed Bailey, who was buying fish, to Yeluo and said with a smile. I have something to do today, so I have to go home early. Yeluo smiled slightly as she took Bailey and replied. Returning to the wooden cabin, Yeluo breathed a sigh of relief and eagerly opened the system interface. After several days of training, her attributes have increased slightly in strength and speed, reaching 5 and 4 points respectively. Her health has also increased slightly, reaching 130 points, and her proficiency in basic forging has also increased to 102 out of 1000. After upgrading, his character level has been increased to level 2, and the experience required for upgrading has been directly increased to 300 points. As for the 5 free attributes obtained, they can be freely added to life, energy, strength, and speed. Yeluo thought for a while but did not decide which one to add, so he temporarily kept it. As for the skill points, he only has 1 skill now, so he didn't hesitate to focus on the basic forging body. After using 1 skill point in Yeluo, the skill of beginner forging increased by 1000 proficiency points, becoming level 2 of beginner forging, 1102/5000. After the upgrade, the primary forging gave him 10 points of strength and speed, and even increased his health by 100 points, so his attributes changed to 230 health, 15 strength, and 14 speed. As for his combat power, it directly became 25, finally breaking away from the scope of the 5th scum. Yeluo clenched her fist and felt the power inside her body. She casually swung her fist, but a slight punch was thrown out by him. This excited Yeluo and he moved around the room for a while, adapting to the increasing strength and speed in his body. At this moment, he felt like he was looking for someone to try his hand. Bang! Just as Yeluo was about to try, with a loud bang, the wooden door of her rudimentary cabin was kicked open by someone. Chapter 2. First Kill. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yeluo looked at the wooden door that had been kicked out, frowned, and looked towards the door. Little ghost, I didn't expect you to be alive. Since you're not dead, it's time for this month's protection fee. A pirate carrying a big knife walked in outside the door. Is that you? Yeluo immediately recognized the person who came, and the original owner of this body was killed by the small leader who collected protection fees in front of him. Yes, the person in front of me can't even be considered a leader, only a small leader who collects protection fees, because the leader of that group of pirates will not personally come to collect protection fees. And the reason why he is called the little leader is because last time he came, he was still with 2 attendants, and this time he was the only one. What's going on? Don't tell me you don't have any money. This time you won't be as lucky as last time. The little leader provocatively looked at Yeluo and laughed. Yeluo slightly measured the outcome of his battle against the opponent in his heart, and then smiled apologetically, saying, "Sir, didn't I pay the money last time? It hasn't been a month yet, has it?" "Humph, didn't you pay everything last time, kid? I know you've been selling fish lately, and you definitely have money on you. If I hadn't passed by today and saw it, I would have been deceived by you." The little leader threw his knife to the ground and said contemptuously. Yeluo narrowed her eyes and said with a smile, "Your Excellency is really amazing. I have indeed sold some fish recently. I thought I would send it to you all next month when it's time, but I didn't expect your Excellency to come over today." "Huh, you're a smart kid, but who told you this is from next month? This is what you owed me last time and compensated me for it. You still have to pay next month, you know." The little leader laughed and said fiercely to Yeluo. Yeluo was taken aback for a moment. The guy in front of him was trying to steal some food. It should have been the other person who accidentally discovered that he was selling fish and followed him secretly, hoping to earn some pocket money from him. No wonder he didn't see his 2 followers this time. Don't worry, adults. This time it's a small filial piety given to adults, not included in the protection fee. Yeluo turned around and pretended to take out a stack of barley from under the bed, pleasing the little leader. His money is usually stored in the system, and the action just now was to prevent the other party from discovering it. "Huh, that's great, kid. When our pirate team recruits, I will recommend you." The little leader saw the money in Yeluo's hand and immediately laughed and snatched it away. As for Yeluo standing beside him, the little leader naturally ignored him. What he didn't expect was that Yeluo was thinking about how to kill him at this moment. Wiping the sweat from his palms on the legs of his pants, Yeluo placed one hand on the back of Xiao Tu's head and apologized while saying some flattery to him. "Equip weapons." Yeluo silently thought to herself and extracted a wooden knife from the system. "Pop it." I saw Yeluo's right hand waving a wooden knife, but at this moment, when the wooden knife landed on the small head, it broke directly. The little leader and Yeluo both looked at each other in astonishment. Damn it, the quality is also too poor. Without enough time to roast about everything, Yeluo grabbed the big knife that the little leader put on the table and waved directly at the other party's neck. "Stinky kid, you're so big." Littlehead had just woken up from his shock, and before he could finish speaking, he saw a white light in front of him, and then he completely lost consciousness. The body was separated and blood flowed all over the place. Yeluo fell and sat on the ground. This was his first time killing someone, and the bloody scene made his stomach churn. Congratulations to the host. The system seemed to say something after he killed the little boss, but at this moment, he didn't have time to check and just stood up and ran outside the wooden house to start vomiting. After a long time, Yeluo slowly regained his senses, but inside the wooden house, he was a bit hesitant to enter. However, as soon as Yeluo thought about the consequences of the situation being known by the pirates in the village, he bravely returned to the wooden house and began to tidy up. Firstly, the corpse of Xiao Tu was thrown into the sea, and then the small wooden house was rinsed with water. At least it didn't look much different from before, so Yeluo had time to open the system and check the previous prompts. Congratulations to the host for killing 1 pirate and gaining 10 points of experience. Receive side quests. Drive out invading pirates. Reward 100 diamonds, 100 experience points, 1,000 money, and a random white weapon. Looking at the text on the system, Yeluo touched his chin and found that killing a pirate had 10 points of experience. He had already advanced by 1 level. Now that he killed smaller fish, he could no longer gain experience. Only larger fish would have some experience. Moreover, he unexpectedly obtained a side quest, which not only gained experience in Bailey, but also more importantly, diamonds. As for the white weapon, Yeluo had no sense of expectation at all. Weapons are divided into several levels based on color, including 7 colors: gold, purple, blue, green, and white. The lowest level of white weapons is nothing more than throwing them around better than wooden knives. Just now, I was almost killed by the system's wooden knife. If it weren't for exercising a lot and gaining a lot of attribute points during this period, I would definitely have been killed by the reflected pirate just now. Even now, Yeluo has discovered that his attributes may not be inferior to those of this little pirate. However, combat consciousness is not something that can be compensated for by attributes. Therefore, if he hadn't been surprised earlier, it wouldn't have been clear who the winner was in the end. A few days later, the pirate group that had settled in the village realized that one of their members was missing. Although they searched and threatened the entire village, they still couldn't find any clues. The pirate group settled down like this, making Yeluo even more aware that it was just an unnamed small pirate group. Xiaoluo, these fish are up to you. A middle-aged man jumped off the fishing boat and smiled at Yeluo, who was still on the boat. At this moment, Yeluo, who realized her shortcomings, took the Bailey from the pirate leader and paid the protection fee for the second month. Then, she followed the fishing boat in the village to start fishing at sea. Fishing alone was too slow, so when Yeluo found out that there was a fishing boat in the village that often went out to sea, he immediately jumped in and gained the power to deal with these sea fish. To put it simply, killing fish is something that no one wants to do. Now that Yeluo is willing to take care of himself, the people on board are naturally very happy. After a month of hard work, Yeluo's experience value has reached level 4, 96%, and the level of proficiency in basic forging has reached over 2,000. As for the skill points, there is still one left. Originally, there were 2 points, but after clicking on the 2-level basic forging body, it did not upgrade as before. Instead, it gave him a proficiency of 1,000 points, which is why his current basic forging body has more than 2,000 points of proficiency. In terms of character attributes, each upgrade gives him 5 points of attributes, so he now has 15 points of free attributes. After exercising, not only did he increase his skill proficiency, but his character attributes also increased accordingly. However, the growth rate was relatively slow, so Yeluo allocated 7 points to his health, which greatly increased his physical strength. Then, strength and speed were divided into 2 points, and out of the remaining 4 points, a little bit of free attribute was spent on the experiment. After clicking on the energy attribute, there was no other feeling except for a slight warmth in the stomach. This made Yeluo feel a bit speechless, and she knew that she had not yet mastered the method of using energy, so she wouldn't feel anything. After killing the fish, Yeluo also dragged his tired body back to the small wooden house. Now that his experience points had reached 99%, he was almost about to upgrade. After taking a shower, Yeluo closed the wooden door of the small wooden house and walked towards the village bar. That is the favorite place of the pirates, and Yeluo plans to find a lone pirate to complete his upgrade. The current Yeluo is completely different from before because he knows that he already has good strength. After each upgrade, Yeluo would test his physical fitness. To put it bluntly, in the world of One Piece, if he were on Earth, he could still be considered a little Superman to some extent. At least he had never heard of anyone breaking a tree with a single punch when he was on Earth. And now he can completely do it. Arriving at the bar, there were indeed several pirates sitting in groups of 3 or 5. "Oh Xiaoluo, here you are. How are you? Are you treating us to a drink today?" A pirate seemed to have drunk too much and greeted Yeluo with a red face. "No problem, what else do you want to drink?" "I'll treat you," Yeluo said with a smile. The reason why the pirates are familiar with Yeluo is that most of the money Yeluo earns is used to treat the pirates to drinks, and he also obtains information about this group of pirates. Unlike what Yeluo had in mind, they were not anonymous pirates, but members of the famous Creek pirates in the East China Sea. They were all losers who were abandoned by the Creek pirates after being injured or afraid to hide in battle. So this group of about 30 defeated soldiers gathered together and found this small village, stayed here to bully and occupy it. The owner of the bar brought the wine that Yeluo had ordered, and the pirates were also polite. They took the wine and drank it, and Yeluo smiled as he looked at them. He picked up a glass of beer and took a big sip. When the pirates were all drunk, they walked out hunched over, and their headquarters was on their pirate ship, so when they got tired, they usually returned to the pirate ship to rest. Chapter 3. Actions. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Following the pirates away from the village, Yeluo took out a large knife from his backpack, which was the first pirate's small head weapon to die in his hands. He has tried it and it can be stored in the backpack, so every time he uses it, he just needs to take it out of the backpack. Hey, experience points, I'm here. Yeluo let out a low growl in his heart, picked up his big knife, and suddenly accelerated. Although he didn't know much about swordsmanship, he still managed to deal with a few drunken drunkards with just a few simple cuts. Thank you very much. Yeluo glanced at the upgrade message on the system and quickly took away the weapons of several pirates, and then took away their valuable items. When there was no one around, Yeluo's excitement and nervousness calmed down a bit. Although it was not his first time killing someone, it still made his heart beat faster and he was extremely nervous. Congratulations on upgrading the host's level, obtaining 5 free attribute points and 1 skill point. Congratulations to the host for completing the main quest and gaining experience points of 300, diamonds of 300, money of 2000, 1 basic body forging skill book, 1 basic mental method, and 1 basic body method. The main task has changed. Please check it yourself. At this moment, Yeluo finally opened the system and carefully reviewed the system prompt that she had just missed due to nervousness. Firstly, I finally reached level 5 and completed the first main task. After completing the task, the 300 experience points obtained increased the newly upgraded experience bar by nearly 1/3, as well as diamonds that can be used in the mall and 3 basic skill books. Not to mention anything else, the skill book was the first thing that Yeluo focused on. With such a significant change in her physical fitness, she fully benefited from the skill of basic forging. Therefore, Yeluo immediately opened her backpack, read the skill book, and used the basic forging first. This is because of the skill book for beginner forging has directly increased to 1000 proficiency points, making the skill level 2 of Yeluo level 3. It seems like you've been given a skill point. Before Yeluo, his proficiency was only less than 1000 points away, so he directly upgraded. Moreover, after level 3, his skill proficiency disappeared, indicating that he had already reached the level. Elementary mental techniques. Yeluo looked at the skill book lying quietly in her backpack with some anticipation in her heart. It was obvious that this system was the junk web game she had played before and had not run. It was just a domestic martial arts web game, and she didn't know what skills would appear later. After using the skill, Yeluo's head seemed to be forcefully instilled with something, making him feel like his head was cracking open. Is this the basic martial arts mental technique? The pain came and went quickly. In just a few seconds, Yeluo was already sweating profusely, but he already had knowledge about the basic mental technique in his mind. This should be the little bit of energy I've gained before. Yeluo sat on the ground, her heart turned to the sky, and began to meditate. Then she sensed a small airflow moving inside her body. Controlling the small airflow and slowly following the route in memory, I don't know how long it took before finally guiding the small airflow that was floating in my body to my Dantian position. Yeluo opened her eyes and found with some joy that although the small airflow had not increased, she could now command the movement. After being happy, Yeluo happily opens his attribute page. Nickname: Yeluo Race. Human life: 500/500 energy. 1 strength. 43 speed. 29 skills. Junior forging level 3, junior mind method, 1 out of 1000, experience. 300/1000 power. 50 comprehensive evaluation. Are there any other minions? I can play 10. Compared to myself who just came to this world before, there is now a huge gap. After turning off the attributes, Yeluo looked at the basic body method in his backpack without hesitation and directly clicked to learn. Just like before, the system was also very aggressive and directly instilled in Yeluo's mind. Even with his previous experience, he still felt a little uneasy. Try what's special about this step method. Receive the completed Yeluo and start practicing the starting method according to the memory in your mind. After just practicing a few times, Yeluo became very familiar with it, and he also found that practicing footwork not only increases skill proficiency, but also increases his speed attribute relatively quickly. Previously, the main attribute of personal exercise was strength, and although speed has also increased, it has been relatively small. Now that he has footwork, speed will no longer be his weakness in the future. Yeluo, who had learned 2 new skills, was like a child who had received a new toy, constantly trying until the sky turned white. He slowly stopped and turned back to the wooden house to rest. As for the bodies of those pirates, he no longer has much fear. The improvement of his own strength has filled him with confidence, and according to his previous observations, these pirates have completely lost their ambition. Whether they can be found here is still a question, so he is not worried at all. Returning to the wooden cabin, Yeluo began to meditate and cultivate his mental skills. He added all the skill points he left and the upgraded points to the basic mental skills. Now, the basic mental skills have more than 1000 points of experience at level 2. And he found that while practicing mental techniques, although it cannot completely replace sleep, it can also relax his body and put him in a semi-sleep state. Therefore, Yeluo, who is not yet strong enough, naturally chooses meditation instead of sleep. Only when he can't hold on will he choose sleep. In addition, he also added all the remaining attribute points to the energy, allowing his energy to directly exceed double digits and become 12 points. As for why all the energy needs to be added, it is because he found that as long as he absorbs the energy into the elixir field, he can use it as much as he can, whether it is applied to his arms or feet, it can increase power. Originally, simply punching or using body movements to move the body, with the addition of energy, the power of punching would increase by more than double out of thin air, and the speed of movement would also increase much faster. That's why he couldn't wait to fully focus on energy. As for the main quest, it has changed from level 5 to level 10, and Yeluo is estimated to be at level 5 per level, with the system providing an upgrade reward. After practicing for a whole morning, Yeluo only took a brief nap at noon. After waking up, she came to the village and found that the people in the village looked somewhat anxious. "Uncle, what's going on?" Yeluo came to the restaurant, ordered some food, and pretended to be puzzled. That group of pirates suddenly discovered that several of their companions had been killed over there in the morning, so they are now searching for the culprit. And they said that if we don't hand over the culprit, the protection fee in the future will be doubled, and those who can't pay will be killed directly. The restaurant owner sighed and said with a worried expression, That group of pirates don't have any clues. Who knows who killed them?" Yeluo blinked and asked in surprise. "There's no way, they're also one of the easiest pirates to talk to. Generally, after entering the village, pirates would slaughter them directly, steal all their money, and then move on to other places." The restaurant owner shuddered, seeming to think of something bad and said, "So what should we do? We didn't have much money before, but now that the protection fee has doubled, many people won't be able to afford it." Yeluo frowned and asked, The restaurant owner shook his head and didn't say a word, so he must have no other choice. After all, being able to keep oneself is already very good. Yeluo clenched her fists and pondered the success rate of her own direct action. After finishing his food, Yeluo returned directly to the wooden house. He needed to rest and gather his energy. At night, he planned to launch a surprise attack directly. Although he didn't know how powerful the captain was, it was just a group of defeated soldiers. If he were afraid of everything, it might bring even greater trouble to the village. Soon, as night approached, the lights in the village slowly extinguished. Apart from the faint lights in the bar, only the pirate ship parked in the only port on the island still had lights. Yeluo, who was meditating, opened his eyes and took out a pistol and a knife from his backpack. These were his spoils of war. After getting everything ready, he slowly walked towards the bar, wanting to see if he could still encounter the lonely pirate. If he could reduce one enemy, he could also reduce one first. When he arrived at the bar, the boss was about to lock the door, but Yeluo, who was hidden in the shadows, did not come out. Instead, he approached the pirate ship from the path. As he was about to reach the pirate ship, he noticed several crouching pirates walking towards the ship while joking. Yeluo's eyes froze and he looked at the few pirates. It seems that this group of pirates is not suitable for the environment. Although their companion's death caught their attention, they did not take it seriously. Yeluo looked around and did not notice the ambush. However, their numbers were obviously higher than yesterday, and they were not as drunk as the few pirates yesterday. Moreover, Yeluo also noticed that they were holding weapons in their hands, which was obviously due to the death of their companions yesterday, making them more vigilant. Who up? Yeluo flowed his internal energy onto his feet and directly activated his body technique. In the darkness, his figure was like a ghost, quickly approaching the several pirates. Although Yeluo's speed was already very fast, he was only discovered when he killed the second pirate. However, while they were surprised, Yeluo killed the two again. "Don't come over, our captain is on the ship, you can't escape." The last pirate was startled by Yeluo's extremely fast body movements and fell to the ground, shouting in fear. Humph. Yeluo, wielding a knife, didn't have time to tidy up the spoils and ran straight towards the small forest on the side. The pirates on the pirate ship over there had already heard the sound from this side and began to make noise while rushing towards this side under the captain's leadership. Chapter 4. Eliminating Pirates. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bastard, who did it? Let me scatter and find everyone. The captain of the pirate group, a burly man in armor, shouted angrily when he found the pirate lying in the pool of blood. Captain, could it be the people in the village who did it? A pirate wearing glasses approached to check and said. Those lowly people. Humph, I originally wanted to keep them for us to eat and drink, but I didn't expect them to be so disrespectful. They all gathered together for me, family by family, to find the culprit. After I find him, I will personally twist his neck. The pirate captain frowned and shouted. Just as the pirates were gathering to go to the village, another scream came from the pirate ship behind them. Yeluo stood on the side of the ship, smiled at the pirates, and then plunged into the sea. All the remaining pirates on board had fallen into a pool of blood. Bastard, go catch him. Although I didn't see Yeluo's appearance clearly, the obvious provocation still made the pirates roar and charge towards the pirate ship. There are still more than 10 people left. After killing another batch, we can fight head-on. Yeluo found a place to climb onto the shore and quietly watched the angry group of pirates. There's no way, although Yeluo's physical fitness is good now, he only has one life, so it's better to be careful. He's not one of those guys in anime who can't be killed. Captain, it seems that the other party's strength is not strong, otherwise they wouldn't have chosen to break each other down like this. The pirate wearing glasses helped himself with his glasses, and said with a look of wisdom bead in his hand. What nonsense, now, immediately, immediately find that little mouse for me. I want to dismember him in countless pieces, the pirate captain shouted as he looked at the body lying on the deck. They didn't have many people originally, but now half of the lost personnel have been lost, and he doesn't even know who the other party is, which makes him a bit angry. In previous battles, everyone was known for their swords and guns, relying on their strength to fight. If they could pass, they would fight, and if they couldn't, they would run away. This was the first time he had met someone like this who was sneaking around. However, this time the pirates also learned to be clever, no longer separating their hands, but concentrating on searching together. Captain, we've searched everywhere but haven't found any trace, and everyone is quite tired. We all want to sleep in the middle of the night. The pirate with glasses searched for a while with his men, but didn't find Yeluo's figure at all. So he ran back to report to the pirate captain. What should we do now? Captain Pirate also calmed down at this moment and asked. Let's take a break today. Don't separate, everyone gather together to rest. When it's dawn, we'll go directly to the village and use those villagers as a threat, not afraid that person won't come out. The pirate wearing glasses smiled insincerely and said. The pirate captain nodded and said in a low voice, okay, I'll personally handle him tomorrow. Yeluo, hiding in the grass by the shore, although he didn't know the plan of the pirates, he didn't dare to leave at this time. He was afraid that the pirates would come out to find trouble for the villagers, so he kept monitoring here while restoring the internal power he had previously used. By the time the sky was slightly brighter, Yeluo had fully recovered. He found that his internal energy had slightly increased. Opening the attribute page, he saw that his energy had indeed increased a bit. No wonder everyone says that combat is the best way to cultivate, and it's definitely not as fast to cultivate on your own. Yeluo looked at the experience bar that had already exceeded 4/5 and muttered with a smile. Putting the weapon into her backpack, Yeluo went into the water again, slowly swam towards the pirate ship, and then climbed onto it with ease. Sure enough, it's all here, isn't that big guy the captain? Yeluo hid outside the cabin and looked inside through the glass. All the pirates were sleeping inside in disarray, with 2 night watchmen at the door dozing off. In the middle of the cabin sat a burly man in armor, his head tilted and drooling as he fell asleep. Yeluo took a deep breath, took out the pistol he had previously seized, and aimed it at the pirate captain. Although he had not used firearms before, he was not far from the enemy now and should be able to hit them. Pop 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 pop, Yeluo fired continuously at the pirate captain until he emptied the bullet before flipping over and jumping onto the upper deck. Then, taking advantage of the pirate's charge, he threw his pistol into the sea, creating the illusion of him jumping into the sea and escaping. Captain, are you okay? That bastard, I will definitely not let him go. Yeluo listened to the noisy noise below and rubbed her head with a headache. She didn't even kill the other person at such a close distance. Her marksmanship was really embarrassing and she threw it at her grandmother's house. Have you found anyone? In Yeluo's line of sight, the pirate captain walked out with his arm covered. Wow, I'm glad I got shot, otherwise speaking out would have affected my image. Yeluo breathed a sigh of relief quietly. Captain, we don't have to continue to waste time with him here. If we go to the village, he will definitely come out. The bespectacled pirate also became angry and suggested to the captain. Okay, little ones, take your weapons, let's go to the slaughterhouse, and then leave with food and treasure. The captain laughed cruelly and shouted loudly. Oh, the pirates immediately became excited, only killing and treasure could make them forget their fear. Yeluo, hiding on the upper deck, lowered his head and took out 2 pistols from his backpack again. This time, his target was no longer the pirate captain, but all the pirates. Pop 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 pop, the sound of gunfire suddenly rang out, and Yeluo stood on the upper deck, shooting at the unsuspecting pirates. After the pirates left half of their bodies, the rest found cover and hid. Yeluo, you bastard, it's actually you little rabbit. If you have the ability, you come out to fight me like a warrior. The pirate captain finally saw clearly who was attacking them, because Yeluo often invites pirates to drink, and even this captain knows him. Pop. The answer to him was the pistol in Yeluo's hand. This bastard. As the pirate captain was about to charge out, he was grabbed by the pirate wearing glasses next to him and shook his head. Bada, Yeluo threw away the empty pistol and picked up the long knife from the ground. He jumped down from the upper deck and said with a smile, "Didn't he say he wanted to fight me? Give you a chance, don't say I bullied you, come out. Die for me." The pirate captain watched as Yeluo really dropped his pistol and came out from behind the cover, heading straight for Yeluo. "Bastard, do you only know how to run away? Like a mouse." Yeluo dodged the pirate captain's attack with his footwork while watching the other pirates with his spare light, afraid they would rush forward. "Hee, it's just warmed up. What's the rush?" After seeing those pirates holding weapons but not moving forward, Yeluo began to focus on dealing with the pirate captain. Dang, Yeluo's long sword hit the pirate captain's body, but it was all blocked by his armor. With you alone, I can't even break through my defense, little bug." The pirate captain laughed proudly upon seeing this. The other pirates burst out laughing with peace of mind upon seeing the situation. Once this guy appeared, they had nothing to fear, at best just a teenager. What a headache. "I forgot you were the one who controlled Crick's equipment, so let's try this." Yeluo threw away his long sword, clenched his fist, and directly used his internal energy to attack the opponent. "You're such an idiot, you don't even have weapons. How are you going to fight me?" The pirate captain cruelly smiled and also punched. He was already fantasizing about how to torture Yeluo. Bomb, fist to fist, the pirate captain was directly thrown away by Yeluo's punch. In mid-air, the pirate captain's entire arm twisted irregularly, and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, indicating that he was seriously injured by this punch. The remaining pirates were stunned and couldn't believe what they had seen with their own eyes. It wasn't until their captain landed and smashed a big hole in the deck that they realized and looked at Yeluo with fear. They really don't understand why with such strength, they don't just come knocking on the door, but rather sneak around like this. Yeluo was also startled by her own strength, but now is not the time to be surprised. Using her body movements, a few ups and downs directly knocked down the remaining pirates. Don't kill me. I know where our captain's treasure is. Let me go, I'll take you." Before he could finish speaking, the bespectacled pirate was knocked unconscious by Yeluo's kick. "I didn't expect to have experience in defeating pirates, so it doesn't necessarily have to be killed." Yeluo looked at the system's prompt to gain experience and rubbed his chin, thinking. It's also good, in his subjective consciousness, he doesn't really want to make such a massacre. How could you? How could you be this guy? When Yeluo approached the pirate captain, he looked at him with some unwillingness, as if unwilling to believe that he had just been defeated by a young man. Gee, what a talkative guy. After kicking the opponent unconscious, Yeluo began to clean up his spoils of war. Of course, the first step is to tie up the unconscious pirates, then put their food, treasure, weapons and equipment all in their backpacks, take out the cash Bailey and put it in a bag, and finally walk towards the direction of the village. "Village chief, I have already killed that group of pirates. This is Bailey found from them. Please return it to the villagers. As for the pirates, I will tie them to the pirate ship. How to deal with them depends on the village chief's intentions." Yeluo came directly to the village chief. After the parents of the original owner passed away, he survived by relying on the village's assistance, so this kindness must be repaid. Chapter 5. Going to Sea. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After dealing with the pirates, Yeluo returned to the small wooden cabin. He reminded the village chief not to reveal his existence, as he did not want the situation to become complicated. The current situation is quite good. Congratulations on defeating Captain Crick's Crusader and gaining 50 points of experience. Congratulations on the host's level increase, obtaining 5 free attribute points and 1 skill point. Congratulations to the host for completing the side quest, expelling invading pirates, and receiving rewards of 100 diamonds, 100 experience points, 1,000 money, and a random white weapon. After Yeluo returned to the cabin, he carefully read the system prompt. After stumbling the pirate leader just now, the system gave him 50 experience points, which happened to increase his level by 1 level. After the upgrade, Yeluo added 2 points of energy and 1 point of health to his attribute points, and the remaining 2 points were all added to his speed. He discovered it in last night's battle, and if it weren't for the presence of the opponent's firearms, he would have just gone straight to the front, so it wouldn't be so troublesome. He has experimented and now, after using his body method, he can dodge a regular combo pistol from the front, but he cannot guarantee a surprise attack. As for other combo pistols and other weapons, he really can't say he can definitely dodge them, so increasing speed now is the priority that needs to be solved. As for the white weapon that appears in the backpack that can be equipped, it is a regular steel knife with no attributes, but it is still much better than the weapons of the pirates he captured and can be equipped, so Yeluo plans to use it temporarily. In addition to these, diamonds have also accumulated to 400 points. After level 5, there is an additional lottery interface in the mall. With 1,000 diamonds drawn once, theoretically anything can be drawn. Therefore, Yeluo plans to give it a try. As for whether he can draw anything good, Yeluo said he does not expect it. This kind of domestically produced junk web game is nothing more than deceiving players to pay for it, but now it has become his golden finger and he has to use it. As for why do we smoke? Yeluo thought very clearly, what can he do without smoking? The unique skills and advanced martial arts in the mall cannot be bought with just a few hundred diamonds from him. It's better to try his luck. What if a strange fate falls from heaven, won't he make a profit? After resting for a day, Yeluo resumed his normal life. Apart from practicing, he occasionally went out to sea to fish. Now that he had some small money, Yeluo had already bought a small boat of his own and did not need any advanced navigation skills. He could control it alone. This peaceful life not only slowed down the speed of cultivation, but also did not trigger any tasks, so Yeluo planned to go out to sea after completing the basic body methods. A few days later, as the last bit of body technique proficiency increased, Yeluo returned to the village chief's house and told him about her plans to go out to sea. Although I feel a bit reluctant, I know you will go out to sea sooner or later. The village chief sighed. Yeluo smiled slightly and bowed, saying, "Thank you all for taking care of me over the years. Due to the pirates, I'm not very good at greeting everyone anymore. I can only rely on the village chief here." The village chief smiled mysteriously and said, "Go ahead, there's a gift I'll give you at the harbor." Yeluo was taken aback and asked, "What is it?" "A small boat. You need a small boat to go to sea alone." The village chief didn't show any interest and told Yeluo directly. After bowing to express gratitude, Yeluo said a few goodbye words and left straight away. As he passed by the village, Yeluo noticed that everyone looked at him with strange eyes. Although at that time, in order to gather information from the pirates, he deliberately approached them very close, and the people in the village could not help but deliberately isolate Yeluo. However, he did not stare at Yeluo with strange eyes like he does today. When he arrived at the harbor, Yeluo found the small boat mentioned by the village chief, which was a small triangular sailboat that was much better than the one he used to go fishing on his own. After boarding the small boat, the boss briefly told Yeluo some precautions and operation manuals, and Yeluo quickly mastered the ability to drive the small boat. "Ah, that kid over there, are you planning to leave like this?" Just as Yeluo was about to leave, he suddenly noticed that there were more and more people in the port. The bar owner stood in the closest position to him and shouted loudly at him. Yeluo was taken aback for a moment, then grinned and said, "When I have time, I will come back to see everyone." When he saw everyone, he knew that it must be the village chief who told everyone about the matter. "When you come back, remember to come over to me for a drink," the bar owner said with tears in his eyes and a smile. "Xiaoya, if you can't survive outside, remember to come back and I'll take your fish," said the restaurant owner. The village is not big, and everyone looks up but not down, so everyone has some kind of friendship with Yeluo. At this time, their blessings are very precious to Yeluo. "Ladies and gentlemen, we will see each other again in the future." Yeluo dared not continue to stay. After all, the matter of parting is still quite sad. In a blink of time, it was already a few days after going out to sea. "The weather is nice today, it's a good day for fishing." Yeluo walked out of the small cabin, looked at the weather, and took out her fishing rod to talk to herself. The cabin was not large, and Yeluo used it as a bedroom. His activity was on this small deck, and Yeluo ignored the direction and route. There was a lot of food and water in his backpack space, so there was no need to worry, so he adopted this casual navigation method. Okay, actually it's just that he can't understand the chart. Although the village chief was very considerate and placed a chart in the cabin, Yeluo couldn't understand it at all. He had no choice but to adopt this method of sailing according to fate. After fishing for a while, not a single fish was caught. Yeluo yawned and lay on the deck for a while. He meditated all night last night, and his junior internal energy was about to reach its full level. So at this moment, he felt a bit tired while sunbathing. I don't know how long it took, but Yeluo was awakened by the sound of gunfire. When he opened his eyes, he realized that there was a small boat not far from him, being chased by a navy warship. "Oh, it's a pirate ship, forget it. Since it's being chased by a warship, it's better not to join the fun." Yeluo touched her chin and saw the skull flag hanging on the small boat, saying. After going out to sea, Yeluo planned to become a proud pirate hunter. He could gain Pele by catching pirates, experience, and perhaps activate missions, which is why he made this decision. Yohaha, surprisingly, it's heading towards me. This small boat, probably the little pirate who just set sail, right? Forget it, even if the mosquito is small, it's meat, so I won't be polite. Looking at the pirate boat heading towards her, Yeluo smiled slightly and took out a long knife from her backpack. All three basic skills are almost at their full level, which is Yeluo's greatest confidence at this time. But when he saw the people on the small boat clearly, Yeluo no longer had the intention of belittling them before. "It's actually you, Ace." That's right, the young man who appeared in front of Yeluo was Ace with some small freckles around his nose. Even though his appearance was slightly different from when he became the Fire Fist in the future, Yeluo still recognized him at a glance. "Ha! Do you know me?" Ace looked at Yeluo with a surprised expression. He didn't have any related memories of Yeluo, but he, who has always been nervous, didn't care. Perhaps he had seen me before, but he forgot. "With your abilities, you wouldn't be pursued by such goods, would you?" Yeluo pointed to the naval officer wearing an iron fist suit, pink hair, and a vertical striped suit on the ship and said. Yeluo did not know the name of this navy, but knew that he was just a miscellaneous fish, because in his past life, when watching anime, this person seemed to have been beaten up by Sanji while pretending to be 13 at the Sea restaurant in Xiangji, and seemed to be some official. Aha, there are some special reasons why I can't take action against the navy. Ace said with a hint of embarrassment as he touched the back of his head. It seems that being chased around like this has made him lose face, but Yeluo knows that he doesn't want to casually attack his grandfather's, Kapu, subordinates. The fishing boat over there, move away quickly. The one in front of you is a fierce pirate. Yeluo was about to make contact with Ace's ship, so the navy on the warship over there loudly reminded Yeluo. Just let Yeluo murmur in the bottom of his heart. Where do you see that my boat is a fishing boat? Excuse me, what should I do now? Yeluo felt a headache, although he didn't know if Ace had eaten the roasted fruit now, his strength couldn't be underestimated, and he seemed to have no confidence in winning. But the strength of the navy is much weaker. Although there are many people, defeating such a large ship of people may require a lot of experience. Just as Yeluo was conflicted, Ace's pirate ship brushed past him, and the warship chased after Ace. When Yeluo realized it, not to mention Ace's small boat, he couldn't even catch up with the warship. Ah, am I foolish to stay alone on the ship for too long? Yeluo exaggeratedly hugged her head, 2 waves of experience, and she just watched as she slipped away. Due to the loss of a large wave of experience, Yeluo returned to the cabin feeling powerless. He decided to continue his cultivation and use his primary internal energy to make up for the loss today. Bang! I don't know how long it took, but when Yeluo's small boat seemed to make a sound from colliding with something, Yeluo finally woke up from her cultivation. When he walked out of the cabin and saw the small boat parked next to him, as well as the smiley face that made people feel a bit embarrassed, Yeluo couldn't help but shout excitedly. Ace. Yeluo let out a loud roar and excitedly rushed towards the opponent. If it weren't for Yeluo's raised fist heading straight towards Ace's smiling face at this moment, everyone would have thought it was a long-lost reunion of old friends. Chapter 6. Fateful Encounters. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I said, "Who are you, kid?" We had such a warm welcome ceremony right after we met. Ace asked as she rubbed her face, which had been injured by Yeluo. #*%u and #at, on the other side, Yeluo, who had been beaten into a pig's head, said vaguely. Yes, the first encounter between Yeluo and Ace, even if it was a surprise attack, was a very satisfying defeat. The cost was that Yeluo had now turned into a pig's head. Well, I'm just curious, I don't seem to have seen you before. How did you know about me? I happened to see your boat again just now, so I came over to say hello. Although Ace didn't understand Yeluo's words, he could feel that Yeluo's attack had no killing intent, so he was merciful. Otherwise, what lay here now was Yeluo's body. Yeluo used internal chi to treat her head while vaguely saying, "It was Mr. Kapu who said it. I saw your photo from him." The use of internal energy therapy is a recently developed ability by Yeluo. Initially, it was used to heal injuries with internal energy in martial arts TV shows. It is obvious that he has developed his first special ability. Grandpa. Ace seemed very afraid of Cap, and even when he mentioned him, he instinctively looked around. That's right, one time I was caught in a storm and was saved by the old man Kapu's warship, that's why I found out. Yeluo said in a lie with his eyes open. How long has it been since he set sail? I haven't even encountered a storm, let alone Kappa. Has he come to the East China Sea again? He's not coming to catch me, is he? I won't tell you anymore. I have an urgent matter, I'll leave first. Ace immediately bowed to Yeluo as soon as he heard that Cap had come to the East China Sea, and prepared to sail away. Don't worry, it's been a long time since the incident happened. The old man may not be in the East China Sea now. Yeluo shrugged and said. He may not be able to let go of Ace just like this. In the battle just now, he could feel that his speed and strength were not much worse than Ace's, but his fighting experience and skills were thrown away by the opponent for 108,000 miles, so he didn't want to let go of such a good companion. Ace turned his head to look at Yeluo, as if considering whether his words were true. Come on, eat something first. Yeluo, who had already recovered, took out some food from her backpack and smiled at Ace. Ah, thank you for the hospitality. Ace politely bowed as soon as he saw the food. I did not inquire about the fact that Yeluo transformed food out of thin air, nor was I surprised that Yeluo could recover so quickly. The two of them were eating food while chatting and sharing their own situations with each other. I see, no wonder I think you have good speed and strength, but it's completely random and lacks any strategy. Ace said with a big laugh as he gnawed on a chicken leg. Yeluo asked Ace for advice on her own situation, and Ace did not hide it. She explained everything to Yeluo wholeheartedly, and sometimes the two of them even played tricks together. In this way, Yeluo relied on the temptation of food to keep Ace, and the two of them walked together towards the great voyage. Hey, aren't you still thinking of defeating me and finding my grandfather? After a sparring, Ace gasped for breath and asked. After a period of cultivation, Yeluo is now able to engage in lively battles with Ace, especially with the presence of internal power, which often causes Ace to be flustered. Although Ace was also interested in Yeluo's ability, even if Yeluo explained it to him, he couldn't learn it and couldn't feel the presence of internal energy. Haha, you are my capital to enter the navy, so naturally I have to do this. Yeluo also gasped slightly. From being beaten up to now, Yeluo's progress is not necessarily unpleasant. What's good about being a navy? Join me as a pirate. Pirates are the freest people on the sea, and I don't have a co-captain on my ship. How about it, Yeluo? Do we want to be together? This was Ace's first invitation to Yeluo. Yeluo felt a bit dazed for a while. It seems that being a pirate is also good, and there are also many experienced babies in the navy. Moreover, being a pirate can also be used to deal with pirates, but being a navy means not being able to deal with them. Yeluo Gang was about to speak when he suddenly heard the system prompt. Trigger side quests. Capture Ace, take Ace to see Cap. Rewards. 1500 diamonds, 1500 experience, 100,000 yuan, reward them all to rotate once. After reading the task reward, Yeluo's gaze at Ace immediately changed. With 1500 diamonds and her current 400 points, it was close to the limit of 2 lucky draws. There was also one task reward, which was 3 times. This type of task cannot be missed. Has my mouth been too bright? Even talking nonsense can trigger missions. Yeluo muttered to herself. Look at the move. After thinking about it, Yeluo's speed suddenly increased by 1 point and attacked Ace. What else are you saying now? Capturing Ace is the top priority, as for how to find Capuna, it will be the next thing. Well, why did this happen again? Ace was speechless, as he didn't seem to say anything earlier. After another mutual defeat, the two finally encountered a small island and went up to replenish some food and water before Yeluo realized that Ace was missing. It turned out that after realizing that Yeluo had only wanted to catch him and see Cap, Ace decisively ran away. From beating Yeluo when they met, to now losing both sides, Ace didn't want his sewer to capsize. If Yeluo really caught him in front of Cap, it would be really bad. He had personally experienced Cap's terror. After discovering that Ace had escaped, although Yeluo felt a bit helpless, she could only do so. The vast sea made it difficult to find someone. So he continued to supply many essential items and sold all the supplies he had previously disarmed from the pirates. Yeluo also set off alone once again. In the following time, Yeluo began a purposeful voyage because he had learned how to read nautical charts. Therefore, after buying a chart of the East China Sea on the small island, Yeluo began to move towards Rogue Town, because Ace had to pass through Rogue Town to go on the Great Voyage. In addition, Logue Town is known as the Town of Beginning and Ending, which is the place where the pirate king Roger was born and died. As Roger's son, Ace would go there no matter what. Originally, Yeluo wanted to go to Kakexia village to see if he could be a fisherman or a dragon and rescue the miserable villagers there. However, he thought that if he missed Ace, his mission might be ruined, so he had to set off for Logue Town first. Along the way, besides sending off those inexperienced pirates, Yeluo had no time to go fishing in the sea. This was learned from Ace, which not only provided food and experience, but also helped to exercise her physique. However, one time she ran too far to catch a large sea fish and almost lost her boat. Yeluo didn't dare to keep chasing the fish. As Ace said, his abilities are now well balanced, but he lacks a one-hit, one-kill move, which is why he cannot give a fatal blow to opponents whose strength is not significantly different, or even inferior to his. The only thing that can be considered a unique ability is internal power, but now Yeluo doesn't have a secret script, and relying on his own exploration always feels like he's not doing very well. Congratulations on upgrading the host's level, obtaining 5 free attribute points and 1 skill point. Congratulations to the host for killing the pirate with a bounty of 3 million, gaining 300 experience points and 300 diamonds. Ha! Finally upgraded. It's not easy, but this guy actually has a bounty of 3 million. Yeluo kicked the pirate captain who was just killed by his knife and thought to himself, somewhat surprised. Especially when the system gave him a diamond reward based on the bounty, he was pleasantly surprised. Originally, Yeluo was planning to take the pirate, who was identified by the system as having a bounty of 3 million, to the navy to exchange for the bounty. However, the thought of such a corpse being kept on his ship made Yeluo give up this idea. But since the pirate who was offered a reward would give diamonds, then Yeluo rubbed his chin and raised an eyebrow with some happiness. That adult, how are we going now? Just as Yeluo was lost in thought, the 2 pirates timidly asked. These 2 people were deliberately left behind by Yeluo, who even snatched the oars from the pirate ship in order to accelerate their forward speed. Let's go directly to Logue town. I've decided to become a pirate hunter. Yeluo said confidently to the 2 pirate slaves. Although the 2 pirates wanted to laugh in their hearts, they had to obey Yeluo's lewd power and flatter her against his heart, hoping that he would keep his promise and let them leave after arriving at their destination. There are already 700 diamonds now, and there is still 300 left. It's enough to find a small pirate with a bounty of 3 million yuan, but I don't know if we can meet them before we arrive at Logue town. According to Yeluo's plan, we should go to Logue town first, because Logue town can be said to be the place where the most pirates gather. Countless pirates who want to travel to the Great Route will choose to stop in Logue town for a while, and it does not conflict with Yeluo's purpose. As for when Smoky went to work in Logue town, Yeluo can't remember clearly. He hasn't studied the anime One Piece, he just thinks it looks good, so he keeps watching it. He doesn't know many details or his memory is blurry. However, one thing he could be certain of was that Ace had never seen Smoky, because he vividly remembered that Smoky and Ace first met in Alabastion after Luffy set sail, and at that time Ace was already the captain of the Whitebeard's second team. However, as Yeluo was advancing towards Logue town, he happened to encounter a naval warship with a dog's head holding a bone at the bow. Kapu's warship. Yeluo looked at the warship that appeared in front of her and felt a toothache. The order was not right. Chapter 7. Landing in Logue town. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 8. First Lottery. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A few days later, at the naval base. This is the famous pirate hunter in town recently, right? I heard he hates pirates very much. A sailor watched Yeluo drag a bounty hunter into the base like a dead fish, and couldn't help but whisper to his companions. His companions also nodded somewhat hesitantly and pulled him away, seemingly unwilling to make contact with Yeluo. Because in the past few days, when the Navy is carrying out missions, if they encounter Yeluo, the other side will join the Navy to clean up. Although it is only a simple defeat and will not harm them, it also makes these navies keep Yeluo at a distance. Why hasn't that kid from Ace come yet? Yeluo sat in the tavern, drinking barley wine and muttering to himself. During his stay in Logue town, he defeated many pirate groups, and even defeated all their members. Therefore, Yeluo is now considered a somewhat famous pirate hunter here. Forget it, let's go find some opponents to gain experience. Since fighting against Cap and his high-altitude swordsman, Yeluo has become even more obsessed with his pursuit of strength, which is why he occasionally doesn't let go of the Navy and treats them as experienced babies. On the day he arrived at Logue town, he selected a pirate with a bounty of 3 million yuan to carry out the arrest. Not only did he successfully receive diamonds, but he also received a considerable amount of bailee for his food and clothing. Yeluo, who had gathered 1,000 diamonds, did not immediately start the lottery. Instead, he found a hotel, bathed and changed clothes, prayed devoutly, and then opened the system to start the lottery. Although I also believe that all of this is formalism in my heart, which should not be helpful for the outcome, I still couldn't help but do it despite overwhelming all of my wealth. The mall lottery is not about having a turntable for him to draw, but about spending 1,000 diamonds to buy a lucky bag. The moment the lucky bag is opened, it determines whether the 1,000 diamonds are worth it or not. So when Yeluo opened her lucky bag, her mood was very strange, both excited, worried, and hopeful. In short, it was a very strange mood. You have lost a lucky bag and obtained an intermediate secret book. The system prompt made Yeluo's heart almost jump out. She looked at the book like secret collection in her backpack, which read, "Open it and get any intermediate secret book." I made a lot of money, I made a lot of money. As expected, everyone said that the first lottery system will definitely give good things, so that people can't stop and quickly cut the leaks. Yeluo quickly found the corresponding item in the mall. Although there is no such thing as randomly obtaining intermediate secrets, the cheapest intermediate secrets in the mall are all several thousand diamonds, especially the intermediate secrets in the move secrets, which are all good things worth tens of thousands. Yeluo, who was drooling, eagerly opened the secret, and the system prompt rang again. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the intermediate internal skill secret. Purple Cloud Divine Skill. I'll fuck you. Excited Yeluo didn't know how to express her inner excitement at this moment. She just looked at the beautiful secret collection and wanted to recite poetry and travel around the world, but she didn't have any culture in her belly. With just one sentence, she would fuck around the world. However, when Yeluo opened the secret collection and used it, the system prompted that the pre-cultivation techniques were not enough to cultivate. At this moment, Yeluo was completely confused. Do we still need to cultivate the Huashan Heart technique in order to cultivate the Purple Cloud Divine Skill? After all, the Purple Cloud Divine Art comes from the Huashan school in Laughing and Proud Jianghu. After carefully observing the Zixia Divine Skill, Yeluo realized that the cultivation of mental skills was divided into 3 levels. Basic, middle, and high. After that, there were famous and prestigious internal mental skills. For example, his Zixia Divine Skill is an intermediate secret collection, which must be completed after completing the basic intermediate mental skills before learning. And if you want to learn basic intermediate skills, you must reach the level of basic skills before you can learn. Now Yeluo's 3 basic skills have reached their full level, but the problem is that he doesn't have any advanced skill books, so all 3 skills are stuck in the state of reaching their full level at the basic level. After looking at his experience bar, he was at level 8, 87%. Before coming to Logue Town, he successfully upgraded to level 8 by brushing a large wave of experience with Kapu. With the addition of the pirate he sent off on the way and the first bounty hunter he killed on the island, his experience points were almost full. As for the skill points, there are quite a few now. At level 5, I only had a little left, and I haven't used them even after upgrading because there are no skills for him to use. Therefore, I have saved as many as 4 skill points now. Now that there are no diamonds left, the only possible way to obtain intermediate mental skills is through main quests. At level 10, one can complete the second main quest. Following the pattern of the first main quest, it is possible to give him 3 basic intermediate skills, so that he can learn the Purple Cloud Divine Art. So in the following time, Yeluo waited for Ace while crazily sweeping the pirates in Rogue Town, so that if he didn't receive basic intermediate skills at level 10, he could still purchase them through the mall. But after all, this is the East China Sea, so although there are many pirates, there are not many bounty hunters. Moreover, Yeluo also learned that Smog had just come here not long ago as the chief official and was vigorously arresting pirates, so there were fewer bounty hunters in Logue Town than he had imagined. Otherwise, he would not have even spared the navy, just for that little experience. With his level increasing, defeating those ordinary minions now doesn't give him much experience. Damn it, if I weren't afraid of missing Ace, I would definitely go to Kakexika village now. It's just a dungeon. Yeluo looked at the experience bar that had just surpassed half of level 9 and muttered to herself in frustration. Today, I finally encountered a bounty hunter and gained a lot of experience and 200 diamonds. However, I am still 500 points short of the basic intermediate skill of 1000 diamonds. That's right, since he went to the island, he has only caught a few bounty hunters, one worth 3 million. However, the prize diamonds were used in the previous lottery, and there are still 3 worth 1 million. With today's worth of 2 million, he only has a total of 500 diamonds. Damn Smog, coming a little later would be fatal. If it weren't for you being away, I would definitely have done it with you. Yeluo muttered in anger as she walked towards the restaurant. Although he is not sure if his internal strength has any effect on the natural system, it does not prevent him from saying a few harsh words in an empty place. Look, what's wrong with that person inside? It seems like a dead person. The boss is considering whether to call the navy over. I heard he died suddenly halfway through his meal. Can't it be that the food in the restaurant has something that can cause poisoning and death? Yeluo had just walked to the restaurant entrance when he heard a large group of people surrounding the restaurant talking about something. This feeling is Ace. Yeluo looked at the familiar scene, recalling something while squeezing into the restaurant. It's really you. Yeluo gritted his teeth and said, but since he saw the main leader, Yeluo was not as anxious as before. At this moment, the center of the crowd's observation was Ace, who suddenly fell asleep halfway through eating food. Even Yeluo, who had long known about such a thing, was startled when he saw it during dinner with Ace. How could someone fall asleep halfway through a meal? Originally, Yeluo didn't believe it, but after seeing Ace, he realized that no matter what happened in the future, he could handle it calmly. I'm sorry, I fell asleep again halfway through eating. Ahem, sure enough, Ace, who was about to wake up, resumed eating. The boss next to him, who was overly frightened, didn't know what expression to use to face Ace at the moment. He just twitched his lips a few times and said, "It's okay guests, please continue." "Hey, Ace, long time no see." Yeluo sat down next to Ace with one hand on his shoulder, eating the food just brought up by the clerk and greeting. "Oh, it's Yeluo. Long time no see." Ace said happily when she saw Yeluo. Click. But what awaited him was Yeluo's handcuffs. It's not the Hai-Lu Sure handcuffs. He can't afford that kind of thing, but these handcuffs were also made of steel by Yeluo at a high price. Although they can't deal with capable people, they are not so easy to break, just to give Ace a meeting gift. "Hey, what are you doing? We haven't seen each other for a long time. Are you going to treat me like this?" Ace said to Yeluo with a somewhat helpless expression. I don't have a deep relationship with you. General Kapu will be coming in a few days, and I just did it just to be on the safe side. Yeluo shrugged and said casually, seeing that things were going smoothly. "What? The old man is coming." Ace immediately stood up and looked around. "Thank you for your hospitality." After bowing to the boss, Ace ran away like a gust of wind. "Bastard, be honest with me. I just wanted to complete the task." Although Yeluo expected that Ace would run away, she didn't expect the other party to run so cleanly. So she shouted loudly and chased after Ace. "Eating the king's meal?" the restaurant owner asked in confusion after being stunned. "Bastard, don't run." Yeluo chased after Ace, who was running away in anger, while behind him was a large group of chefs and restaurant staff chasing Yeluo. Originally, it was just people from a restaurant chasing after him, but as the commotion of Ace's escape increased, more and more people chased after him. This was also one of the reasons why Yeluo was angry. This bastard must have been in Logue town for several days, otherwise there wouldn't be so many people chasing him. At the same time, a warship is approaching on the sea not far from the port of Logue town. Smog was standing on the deck with Dashi, and although they had caught many pirates this time, they were all small characters, so Smog was feeling a bit unhappy at the moment. On the other side, on the sea surface 3 days away from Logue town, a doghead warship is also advancing towards Logue town. Chapter 9. Burning Fruits. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ha! What is this? Ace held a ball-shaped fruit with an orange-yellow spiral pattern in his hand and muttered to himself in some surprise. After much thought, it seemed like he had only been on this island for less than 2 days. He first visited the execution platform where the pirate King Roger was executed, and then began to rest. By the way, I met that strange guy named Yeluo while eating at a restaurant. He handcuffed himself in order to catch me going to see the old man, without showing any brotherly affection. Ace thought of this and started eating the fruit in his hand with some anger. Oh, is this the smell of feces? Ace looked at the unpleasant fruit in his hand with a bitter face. He had no idea how the fruit appeared in his hand, as if he had bumped into someone while running away, and then the fruit appeared in his arms. This bastard. Yeluo, who followed behind Ace, witnessed the entire process of Ace obtaining the burnt fruit and eating it. Can we only say that he truly deserves to be Luffy's family? The protagonist's halo has already shown here. Just now, he clearly saw a businessman-looking guy sneaking out of a small alley, and was hit by the fleeing Ace. As a result, the burnt fruit fell to Ace's hands. As for the businessman, he fell to the ground in great sorrow, and Yeluo didn't hesitate to step on him and pass by. As for the chefs and restaurant service staff who followed suit, they all followed suit and stepped on the businessmen. Yeluo estimated that even if he didn't die, he would be seriously injured. Can you stop chasing me? Ace shouted towards Yeluo behind him as he ran. If you don't run, I won't pursue you. Yeluo gritted her teeth and shouted. Forget it, you better keep chasing. Ace shrugged and said. He knew that even though Yeluo had good physical strength, there was still a considerable gap between him and him. This bastard. Yeluo saw that the pursuers behind him had gradually been separated by them, and without further ado, his internal energy was directly infused into his feet, his body movements were unfolded, and he quickly approached Ace. You cheated. Ace shouted as she looked at Yeluo, who was quickly approaching her. Yeluo didn't have time to pay attention to him and punched Ace in the back of the head. Ha! As he watched Yeluo's fist pass through his body, Ace stopped and looked at Yeluo with some surprise. Fool, don't you know that you were eating devil's fruit just now? Yeluo said helplessly. You mean the fruit that tasted like feces just now? Ace thought for a moment and asked. Yeluo had no choice but to briefly share her understanding of the devil fruit with Ace to prevent this idiot from accidentally falling into the sea and drowning. Just as he was speaking to Ace, Smog's warship had also returned to the port and happened to meet the group of chefs chasing Ace and Yeluo. Go ask what's going on. Smog said to Dashi next to him, holding 2 cigars in his mouth. Yes, Colonel. After bowing, Daki went over to understand the situation. Quickly, she returned to report to Smogway. According to everyone's description, one of them should be the recent newcomer pirate Portka's D. Ace, while the other is not very clear, it is likely to be Ace's companion. Portaka's D. Ace. Interesting guy, let's go take a look. Smog whispered as he stared at the direction of Yeluo and Ace's escape. So, I won't be able to swim again in the future. Well, forget it, but this ability is really cool. Ace used elemental transformation to release his hands from the handcuffs and said with a smile. Don't be too careless, you have become a capable person now and are still a relatively rare natural type. However, you have gained many things that can restrain you, such as the Sea Tower Stone. Moreover, only when you are strong yourself can you truly be strong. Devil fruits and the like are still external objects. Yeluo said in a deep voice. Don't worry, I know how to do it. By the way, you're not taking me to see the old man now. Ace replied casually. You are now a natural type ability expert, and with my current strength, I should no longer be your opponent. That's why the natural type demon fruit claims to be invincible in the early stage. Yeluo shook his head and said. Huh, you are truly my good brother. Let's go and celebrate our reunion with a banquet. Ace said with a hearty smile. There's no problem with having a banquet, but let me try how powerful your natural science is first. I also have some speculations that need to be confirmed. Yeluo shook her head, smiled slightly, and said. What's going on? Ace watched as Yeluo's hand passed through him, but he felt that Yeluo's attack earlier seemed to have a slight impact on his own body. This is what I want to tell you. Although the natural system was invincible in the early stages, there was still something that restrained it, that was domineering. Yeluo added a trace of internal energy to his attack just now. Although he did not fully capture the opponent's body, it also proved that internal energy is effective against the natural system. Did you just use dominance? Ace asked curiously. Yeluo shook his head and said, no, mine is not domineering, it's a family passed down internal power. Your grandfather, General Kapu, is the master of using domineering power. No wonder Luffy, who is a rubber man, gets beaten up and rolled around by the old man every time. Ace suddenly realized. Let's go, since the matter has ended, we should also go and have a good drink. Yeluo smiled slightly and said. However, just as the two were about to leave, a voice rang out. You may not be able to go anywhere. Smog. Yeluo turned around and saw a burly man with silver hair and 2 cigars in his mouth, surrounded by a navy. Oh. You actually know me. Smog looked at Yeluo with some surprise. I am a pirate hunter, not a pirate. The navy on this island knows about it, so don't confuse me with him. Yeluo suddenly turned her eyes and distanced herself from Ace, saying. Hey. Isn't it? Yeluo, aren't we partners? Ace asked with a ghostly expression, incredulous. Cough Ace, you should know that they are the navy, and there must be a sea tower stone prison for those with detention capabilities in the prison. As long as I cooperate with Colonel Smog to catch you, then the mission that was originally impossible will become possible. Yeluo coughed and said to Ace with ill intentions. What? Is it about infighting? Even so, you two can't let it go. There's been such a big commotion in town. Das Chi, who was standing by, helped her glasses and said seriously. Little girl, be careful when you speak, I'm not a pirate. Yeluo glanced at Daki and said. Ah ha, Yeluo. Look, the navy treats you as my companion. Come to my ship and be my companion. Ace casually grabbed Yeluo and said enthusiastically. Yeluo's face turned black, but he ignored Ace and said directly to Smog, I have made an agreement with Lieutenant General Kapu to catch Ace and meet him. General Kapu. Smog was taken aback for a moment without realizing it. Yes, I met General Kapu who was on vacation before, so I made an appointment with him to meet in Rogue Town and take Ace to see him. Yeluo nodded and said. Smog pondered for a moment and said, okay, I'll help you take Ace. Smog believed in Yeluo because he knew that Lieutenant General Kapu would return to the East China Sea for vacation every once in a while. Although this was not a secret in the Navy headquarters, few people in the East China Sea would know about it, so he chose to believe in Yeluo. Ace just ate the demon fruit of the natural series, so do you have the sea tower stone? Yeluo faced Ace, prepared to attack, and turned to ask Smog. No, although there are high Lu-Shur handcuffs at the base, we just returned from our mission outside and I'll have someone go get them right away, said Smog, asking a sailor to go to the naval base to get high Lu-Shur handcuffs. Hey, Yeluo, do you really want to do this? Ace asked seriously when she saw Yeluo put on a fighting posture. Why don't you agree to come with me and meet with Lieutenant General Kapu? I'll join forces with you immediately to break through. Yeluo said with a smile. I'm not going to see the old man. Ace said, very unhappy. Then I'll see the true chapter under my hands. Yeluo unfolded her body movements and pounced directly at Ace. Huh, you're not my opponent. Ace said arrogantly while avoiding Yeluo's attack. Humph, Dashi, surround yourself with people to prevent the other person from escaping. Smog said, his lower body turning into smoke. He is the one with the ability of smoke fruit and also the one with the ability of nature. White Snake. Smog's arm turned into a smoke-like white snake, quickly wrapping around Ace. Humph, you're just like that. Smog looked at Ace with some disdain as he saw his move working. Is that right? Ace chuckled and his body slowly turned into flames, breaking free from Smog's control. Are you an idiot? I told you earlier, he is also a natural type ability person. After jumping away, Yeluo said to Smog with some helplessness. The battle between two natural series made Yeluo feel like she couldn't get in touch. Humph, how can I do it? You don't need to teach me. Smog also felt a little embarrassed and angry. Okay, you can do it. Yeluo was also a bit angry, allowing the two of them to expend their energy first. As far as he knew, natural abilities also require physical support. Smog didn't care either, allowing Yeluo to watch the battle on the side. He and Ace fought frantically, but Ace was still a bit uncomfortable because he had just acquired the ability. Even though he had been suppressed by Smog all the time, he was still eager for someone with Smog's ability to practice. Chapter 10. Harvest. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yeluo stood on the side watching the battle between Smog and Ace, without any intention of stepping forward to help. Instead, he commanded the sailors to surround Daki on the battlefield, with a desire to try to fight. You'd better not go up, the battles of nature are not something you can intervene in now. Yeluo stood next to Daki at some point and whispered. Why don't you go? Daki said solemnly to the sea soldier beside her. This made Yeluo on the other side a little dark, and roast in his heart. Is this the legendary ability of super myopia? The sea soldier opposite you has been scared silly by you. Oh yes, you can't see. After asking Daki to put on her glasses again, Yeluo said somewhat helplessly, I'm not a capable person, and there's no good way to deal with them. Daki, who was blushing, was still feeling shy about what had just happened and didn't notice Yeluo's slip of the tongue. Yes, just now Yeluo accidentally expressed his innermost thoughts. He has been considering how to defeat Smog and Ace together since then. If it were normal, it would definitely not be possible, but now that the two of them have been fighting for so long, their physical exertion is quite severe, let alone the nearby port. If they can force them to the port, they only need Yeluo's one strike to shoot them down into the sea, and then he can be considered to have defeated them. These two people have a lot of experience, and maybe Ace also has a bounty now, it's a big deal. I'm not saying I won't go, it's just that I can't go now. I can only find a way to force them to the beach, hoping that Colonel Smog can shoot Ace down into the sea, so we can win steadily. Yeluo shrugged and advised Daki. Daki looked at the direction of the naval base and seemed to be calculating when the soldiers who were going to get the sea tower stone handcuffs would return. Okay, I'll have the soldiers over there withdraw, and you go up and help Colonel Smog force Ace towards the port. Dashi quickly made a decision. Okay, but it was agreed beforehand that Ace was the person named by Old Carp, and you cannot harm him. When Old Carp comes over, I must also hand Ace over to him. Yeluo said directly to Daki. If he doesn't agree, he will definitely not take action. After thinking for a moment, Dashi nodded and said, don't worry, as long as it's really handed over to General Kapu, then I believe even Colonel Smog won't have any objections. Okay, Then you can withdraw the navy over there and I'll take action from here, trying to steer the battlefield towards the port as much as possible." Yeluo nodded happily and said. Sure enough, with the addition of Yeluo, the pressure on Ace increased significantly. He was already unfamiliar with the power of the fruit, and although Yeluo's attacks did not carry the kind of power that could threaten him for some reason, at least it also made Ace have a lot of mental energy to guard against Yeluo. As for Smog, he quickly grasped Yeluo's intention and cooperated with Yeluo to slowly lead the battlefield to the port. Ace, on the other hand, had just gained fruit and did not fully understand the taboos of those with abilities as Smog did, so he unknowingly fell for it. How about it? Ace, have you almost mastered the ability of the fruit? Yeluo saw that the three of them had reached the port position, only a few meters away from the sea, so he stopped and said with a smile. Hee, Ace chuckled slightly frivolously. In fact, he was about to escape just now. After all, his stamina had dissipated a lot, and the soldiers from the navy who went to get the sea tower stone handcuffs before were probably not far from here. Smog took a sip of his cigar, looked at Yeluo, and then at Ace. He was a bit uncertain about their relationship, so he didn't know if Yeluo and Ace had acted together in this scene. He brought him over to the port and prepared to kill him. Upon seeing Smog's reaction, Yeluo immediately reacted and jumped out of the battle circle, blocking Ace's back path. He said, "Colonel Smog, I know you don't trust me. Alright, I'll block Ace's back path and let you fight Ace. How about that? Hey, you're determined to take me to see the old man." Ace knew as soon as she saw Yeluo blocking her way, that if she didn't work hard today, she might really capsize. Sure. Smog spat out a few cigarette rings, nodded, and turned into smoke as he ran towards Ace again. Ace didn't dare to be careless and transformed into flames, fighting against Smog. After a short period of fighting just now, Ace's mastery of burning fruits has been significantly improved, which makes Yeluo feel extremely unfair. Think about himself. The primary skills and the three basic skills have taken him many days and nights to practice, and these anime characters are really hanging up. However, after what happened just now, Ace has already indicated the intentions of Yeluo and Smog, so even if Smog wants to have a slight advantage, he cannot forcefully shoot Ace into the water. At the same time, he also needs to be prepared for Ace's counterattack and Yeluo watching over there. Coming. The soldier who went back to get the handcuffs from the High Lu stone appeared at the street corner, and Yeluo and the three of them fixed their eyes at the same time. Ace concentrated his strength in an attempt to force Smog away and gain time to escape, and Smog did the same. He wrapped himself around Ace with all his might and did not give him any chance to resist. Meanwhile, Yeluo, who was already waiting for the opportunity, instantly infused his internal energy into his feet, unfolded his body movements, and headed straight for the two of them. "Oh no, Yeluo, you bastard." Seeing Yeluo approaching, Ace immediately guessed Yeluo's plan. Watching Yeluo's fists within reach, Smog and Ace coincidentally transformed their bodies into elemental elements. However, what surprised Smog and Ace was that Yeluo's fists ignored their elemental bodies and directly attacked their essence. Bang bang, put on, however, it was too late for all of this. Yeluo divided his internal forces into two streams and infused them into his fists, giving Smog and Ace a punch each. The strong impact caused Smog and Ace to fall into the sea at the same time. This sudden change not only caught Smog off guard, but also left the navy present somewhat bewildered. Yeluo-jun. What are you doing? Dashi-chi immediately drew his sword and asked Yeluo-jun. If I don't do this, how can I ensure that I will definitely hit Ace? And with you here, Colonel Smog won't be okay, right? Yeluo smiled eerily and said. Because just now, as he had anticipated, after falling into the sea, the two of them should have lost consciousness not long after. Therefore, he received a system prompt, 2 rich experiences were recorded, and his level was directly raised to level 10. However, at this time, it is not suitable to deal with these. Someone, go down immediately to rescue Colonel Smog and the pirate Ace. Daki stared at Yeluo and slowly withdrew Shiyu. Shiyu is Daki's sword and one of the 50 skilled craftsmen of Liangkuai Dao, Xiaoya Shiyu. Quickly, Ace and Smog were salvaged by the navy. What should we say? Thanks to the anime characters, they woke up soon after they went ashore, but after being soaked in the sea water, both of them are now weak. Especially Ace, who has just gained fruit ability, fought with Smog again, so although they are sober, they can't move on the ground. Click. Yeluo smiled and handcuffed Ace with the handcuffs of Hai Lu Shi. Don't worry, I won't really catch you. As long as you meet the old man with me, I'll help you escape. Yeluo whispered to Ace as he handcuffed him. Ace's expression changed, but he knew it was not the time to speak, so he just gave Yeluo a deep glance and was taken away by the navy. Did you use domineering power just now? Smog finally regained some of his composure and, after reigniting his cigar, asked Yeluo. Yeluo shrugged and said nonchalantly, well, who knows? Maybe it is. But it has nothing to do with you. He didn't want to tell Smogder that the other party was also a natural type of ability person, so he naturally wouldn't tell the other party that he only had one strike strength at the moment. When Kappa's home comes to Logue Town, I will hand over Ace to you, but now he must be detained at the naval base. Smog took a sip of his cigar and said slowly. No problem, just let me hand over Ace. I won't interfere with anything else. After all, I'm also a pirate hunter. I'm afraid I'll have a lot of dealings with your navy in the future. Please take care of me, Colonel. Yeluo was in a good mood at this time. Not only did his level rise to level 10, but Ace's situation also had optimistic results. Subsequently, Smog led the navy back to the naval base, and Yeluo also returned to the hotel alone. He had not carefully examined the upgraded items yet, hoping that God would bless him with an advanced internal mental skill book so that the Purple Cloud divine skill in his backpack could be practiced. Congratulations to the host for defeating the pirate Portakas D. Ace and gaining 700 experience points and 500 diamonds. Congratulations to the host for defeating Navy Colonel Smog and gaining 800 experience points. Congratulations on upgrading the host's level, obtaining 5 free attribute points and 1 skill point. Congratulations to the host for completing the main quest and obtaining 500 experience points, 500 diamonds, 5,000 money, and 1 intermediate basic skill book. The main task has changed. Please check it yourself. Sure enough, he obtained an intermediate basic skill book. Although there was only one book, and it was randomly obtained from forging, body, and mind techniques, he defeated Ace and obtained 500 diamonds, which is exactly enough for 1,000. Even if he did not draw an advanced skill book for the technique, he can still buy it in the mall. After bathing and changing clothes, Yeluo opened the intermediate basic skill book with a sacred expression. You have used the intermediate basic skill book and obtained 1 intermediate forging skill book. It has been detected that the basic forging skill can be advanced. Do you want to use the intermediate forging skill book?